And we are back for another casual conversation with the classic, the first one of 2025. Funny how that worked out. And I am here with the richest, the prettiest, the smartest, the kindest, the most tan, the most sparkly, the most glittery, the Canada's very own, Vancouver's very own, but the symbol of liberty and freedom that we pledge to, the first ever United States women's champion, the longest reigning United States women's champion, Chelsea Green. How are we doing today?
That you can now take a big deep breath. That was perfect, just as God intended it to be.
Yeah, it only took 3 tries, but we're here. How we doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so good. I have had a busy morning already, but that's how I like it.
That's good. It's good to keep busy. I had like more of those is. I think those like smartest, fastest, strongest, funniest. I think I missed funniest. That should have been in there
And you
as
know
well.
what? That one, we're just going to talk about it because she's the
Yeah.
funniest.
Yeah, that one needs to be really noted. First things first, let's talk about it because it's in the screen. Then we'll go backwards. The United States Championship. We just had the tournament wrapped up at Saturday night's main event. I'm glad we actually did postpone like for 2 months because when we first supposed to do this, you were not the champion. The tournament started, and I was like, well, at least now she can come on here with the belt. So I'm really glad you brought the belt. What does it mean to
Right?
be
I
the
have
first?
to. Oh my
Yeah.
God. She goes everywhere with me. I just did headshots. I brought her to headshots. She's, about to go to the gym.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What does it mean to you to become the first United States women's champion, the women's United States champion?
Well, here's the thing. I kind of said this before, but I it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. I've been working forever for a moment like this in my career, and there's been a lot of really, really amazing moments, but I could have never even have dreamt this one up. And if I did dream it up, I would have never believed that it would have been me that was experiencing this. So it's really surreal. It's surreal, but also feels like it was meant to be.
No, I think it was meant to be too. The only thing that would have probably made it a little bit more special is if you got to win it here in Vancouver at Survivor
Oh,
Series.
don't get me started.
But
Do not get me started on that because I totally agree. But you know
yeah.
what? Beggars can be choosers, and I'm the beggar in this situation.
So that is true. That is true. But you are the United States champion. You did that at Saturday's main event, which is super cool though, because they brought it back for the first time since 2008. It's obviously like nostalgia for a lot of us that grew up in the 90s and the 80s and watched Saturday's main event. You got to wrestle against Michin, which is super cool. You guys have a long history. Walk me through that day. What was going through your mind that day?
So there's a lot about that day that you are going to end up seeing. I can't tell you why, but you will. There's some fun things that we have coming out, with our partnership with Netflix and things like that. So the day, a lot of it you'll be seeing and leading up to it, you'll kind of be following, possibly my journey or my emotions and things like that. The day was really like a normal day. And I know that sounds so like what? But at the end of the day, work is work. I have to get up early. I have to do my workout. I have to eat my food. I have to get on the road, drive myself to the venue, get hair and makeup done, do everything to do with social media and like just hyping up the event and all that. So I didn't have much time to truly just digest the moment. So I took the time after I won the championship to really just like let it sink in. I invited all my family back, my in-laws back. We took pictures. I, was able to bring my sister back into the locker room and just hang out, and everyone was just so sweet. So that was the moment that I really was able to be like, "Oh my God, I just did something crazy here." I can tell my children and my grandchildren about this day, but while I'm in it, I'm just in work mode.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. And honestly, like, no one can ever take that away from you. You are now the first. A lot of people can be next, but no one else can be first. And it's literally the first. There's never been a women's United States Championship in the WWE. So, like, it's a super cool moment. You got to do it in at Saturday night's main event. And you got to do it with Piper. What did it mean to have Piper with you in that moment as well? Because it seemed like it was an emotional moment after the match.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely the cameras went down, the lights went down, the camera crew hugged me, and P and I had a moment in the ring of just like, damn girl, like we did it. We lived in Japan. We worked for Stardom. I broke my collarbone, and Piper washed my hair and took me to the airport and got me on an airplane and sent me home. We have such a history of friendship. And so for us to be able to be in the ring together and have that moment was so special, and there's a lot of people who get to have moments with their tag partners, but your tag partner isn't always your friend. That's not how it
Yeah.
works. You don't always get that lucky, and I am that lucky. I have someone who has been there, a ride or die from one of the first years of my career. So that was really cool. And on top of it, Saturday night main event was in Long Island, which is obviously my husband's hometown and a very kind of like iconic building. And there's been a lot of iconic moments there. So it was a culmination of very, very special things happening that night.
Yeah, there was definitely an aura in the air that you could tell. Even when they put out the BTS photos, you're like, there was something going on here. Everybody seemed excited. It's a new era in WWE. So we have all
Yeah.
this stuff happening. Let's go back to talk about your history. Let's go to the beginning. What were your earliest memories of professional wrestling? And when did you decide, like, hey, I want to do this?
I never decided I wanted to do this. I had
Yeah.
no idea this was going to happen. This was totally spur of the moment because I lived in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and
Yeah.
it came on TV, and I Googled how to be a WWE diva. And
Yeah.
Lance Storm's school was 10 minutes down the road, and I thought it was meant to be, I'm going to start a new hobby. So that's the short version of how I fell into it. And I can't believe that I even Googled that sentence, but here we are, and we cannot have shame.
Yeah.
But I do have definitely some moments in my life that I remember um, of wrestling. One being my sister and I sneaking upstairs to watch wrestling in my parents' room while they cooked dinner because we weren't allowed. It was too violent, they said. We weren't allowed to watch wrestling. So we had to sneak upstairs and watch it while they were cooking dinner. That's one really like fond memory I have because it includes my sister. And then another memory I have is a WWE live event in I was in high school, so it would have been around 2006. And I went to the show with one of my friends, Andrew Brinkworth, and we we saw Kelly Kelly for the first time, and I fell in love with her purple sparkly bra, and she did a back handspring elbow into the corner on Beth Phoenix, and I thought, holy, I love this woman. She was
Yeah.
just, she was like everything that I wanted to be as an awkward teen. She was beautiful and tanned and slim, but fit and had a cute bra and had beautiful blonde hair. And it was just like, oh my gosh, is she a Barbie? Like, is she real?
Yeah.
And I come from an island off the coast of Canada. Like, we don't have people that look like that. And
Yeah.
so it was just like a moment that I will never forget, that now that's why when I get in the ring, instead of being the tomboy that I am outside of the ring, I am the girly girl, the Kelly Kelly wannabe now in the ring, because that's just what I was so attracted to growing up.
Two things out of that. First things first, I love that our generation all has that same story about like, oh, we had to sneakily go watch wrestling because we grew up during that era. Where I was like, I
Yes.
didn't know what Val Venus was. I just saw a dude coming out with a towel. But to our parents, the
We didn't
untrained,
know what
yeah,
what they were doing what Lita was doing in that bed.
yeah. I was like the hoe train. I want a hoe train. I don't know what it meant, but like.
Yes, exactly. It's so funny.
But also Kelly Kelly, have you had the opportunity to talk to her? Have you ever talked to her about the story?
Yeah, and I love her.
That's awesome.
She's equally as amazing in real life as she was in the ring. She's just, I mean, and I'll never forget, I've met her so many times at this point now,
Yeah.
but I think the first time that I really like met her in person was possibly when Matt brought me to the very first WrestleMania after party,
Yeah.
and we had just started dating, so it was kind of weird, but I saw her across the room. She was holding a wine bottle and she had thigh-high boots on with these little shorts, and I was like, "Oh."
No, she has that effect. She's super cool.
Yes.
Is she? Who else were inspirations for you in those early years?
No, that was her.
Just
She
Kelly
was it.
Kelly. She was the one.
She was it. Like, don't get me wrong, I watched
Yeah.
Trish and Lita, and they'll forever be legends and icons, and we'll all always aspire to be them. But like, no, it was Kelly Kelly.
Yeah. That's awesome. What did everyone think about when you got into wrestling? Because obviously you grew up in a small island here in Victoria, on the northern side of BC of Canada, and wrestling. You came out of nowhere for you. So when you went back home and you told your parents and your friends and your family, like, hey, I'm gonna get into professional wrestling, what was the reaction?
They thought I was batshit crazy. I believe they actually laughed at me because they didn't think I was being serious. And then also, I am one of those people where I do love to pick up new hobbies. I love to try something. And I also will say, not only do I like to pick up new hobbies, but when I do pick up a new hobby, I like to jump in 110%. So I could understand how it was a little bit ridiculous and they thought maybe this wasn't going to be my forever career. But I do think it got a little more serious when I dropped out of school. Then it was
Okay.
like, oh boy. Okay, well, she has to make it work. And the good thing about my parents is that they've never boxed me into doing anything. They never said I had to go to school. They never said I had to, be something or somebody. They just kind of let me be. And so I had already dropped out of school once to go travel on my own. I lived in Australia for a year by myself. So, you know, there had been some crazy things that I had done. But this definitely was the craziest. But they also kind of were like, if she's quitting school, that means she's gonna go hard and she's gonna give her all. And I think that's all they can ask of their daughter.
No, if they know that you were that like headstrong and you were gonna get it done and stubborn to get it done, then they're like, well, she's gonna do it, and this is her way of doing it, right? So that
That's
makes
exactly it.
yeah, that makes. Was it always something in entertainment for you? Were you just gonna do something in entertainment since you were a kid?
So I was going to school for kinesiology and health sciences, but I always wanted to be like a broadcast journalist, something like that. I had no idea that I loved comedy and acting.
Yeah,
That happened through wrestling, but I thought that maybe one day I could do extra or entertainment tonight or breakfast television or
yeah,
something like that. Like those were things that I really, really loved. And I still love it. And that's why I loved podcasting and I had
yeah,
Green with Envy because I like hearing other people's stories. I like relating to people. I like chatting. I'm definitely like I could talk to a wall. I've always been that way.
yeah,
So I knew, yes. Long story long, yes. I
yeah.
always knew I was going to do something in this industry. I just had no freaking clue it was going to be this. And if you told me I was going to do this at like age 20, I would have been like, you're crazy. You're thinking about somebody else.
Yeah, no, it's definitely relatable because I remember always having those conversations with my friends, like, Justin, you should take like broadcast journalism at like BCIT. You talk a lot, and I'm like, no. And then here I am doing interviews and interviewing wrestlers and just talking a lot.
Yes.
So
We
totally
love
get
that
that.
for us Canadians. We're just talkers.
Yeah, just a bunch of chatters. Let's talk about that for a second there because you did put that today on your Instagram story. I saw that you want to bring back the podcast Green with Envy. Is that something we're going to see in the future, near future?
I'm thinking about it. But like I said on my little Instagram story, it thrived because I was so candid because I didn't have a job. And like, let's be real, contractually as a WWE superstar, I want to make sure that I'm bringing the best version of myself to the platform, whatever that platform is. So I tend to make a fool of myself. And there's just a fine line. So I got to make sure that if I bring this podcast back, I do it in a way that's respectful to WWE and to being a champion.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Hey, and maybe we'll put this on the universe. Maybe we get Green with Envy on Netflix. Maybe it just becomes a part of that like WWE
Well,
library on there. You know,
let's
you
start the
know.
rumor, Justin. Put it
Let's
out there.
just
Start the
let's
rumor.
just manifest that a little bit. Maybe they're like, hey, that's a great idea. We could
I'd
do
be
that.
okay with that. If look, Netflix knows I'm a talker, okay? I'm
Yeah.
going to Netflix UK to do some talking next week. They know.
There you go. There you go. Really quickly, when did you decide in your wrestling career? Because I saw you actually really early on living here, going to ECCW, going to shows out here. Did not know you at the time. Just coming to shows and hanging out with my friends and watching wrestling and Scotty Mack and everybody, Nicole Matthews and everyone. And you went by different names. When did you settle on like I'm just gonna be Chelsea Green? I'm just gonna go with Chelsea Green. Not
So,
Jada, not any of these other names, just Chelsea Green.
So I think starting wrestling, I thought it was really cool to like have an alter ego and have a name. And everyone was like, why don't you just be Chelsea? And I'm like, ew, no, that's so boring. And as I progressed from Jada to Laurel Van Ness, I realized like I'm such an alter ego in the ring that I still want to be me. And
Yeah.
the only way I can be me is by my name. So then when I got back onto the indie scene and then into NXT and I was able to continue with my name, it just felt right. But I didn't know that until I had tried everything else. And that's just like a lot of things. Like, I've played so many crazy characters and that's what I love. And at the end of the day, I think what people are loving the most, besides the crazy bride character, is me being just like an eccentric version of myself.
Yeah.
So it says a lot, like I think people just want you to be real.
I think that's true. Did you know that there's like some building or something in Victoria called the Chelsea Green? Like,
And
is
you know
that
what's
just a crazy
funny?
coincidence?
Yes, it is a crazy coincidence. It's very weird. The Chelsea
Yeah.
Green apartment buildings. And then people will send me like the Chelsea Green apartment buildings in England and Chelsea Green Bridge and all this stuff. I'm like, what in the hell?
Maybe you are more than just the United States champion. Maybe you're the champion of the world already, and
You
people just
said
don't
it, I
know.
didn't. But
Because Chelsea Green buildings all over the place, representation all over. Let's talk about. Well, obviously, it's been talked about before, but it's one of the moments a lot of us first remember seeing you was working in that Daniel Bryan segment with Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella, where you were the personal trainer as an extra back in those days. How was that experience? How was a smack from Brie? What were you thinking in that moment? Because that was a big opportunity, obviously, at the time.
first of all, that was the smack heard around the world.
Yeah.
That was the craziest smack I've ever got. Still to this day, 10 years later, craziest smack I've ever experienced. I actually just watched that segment back because I felt like it went viral again, like last week or the week before. God, I'm so cringy. But in that moment, I was like, holy cow, Brie Bella is such an amazing actress.
Yeah.
She was just so deep in that storyline. So was Stephanie. Like, that was such an incredible experience. And I have this terrible habit of just zooming through life, just going, moving on to the next thing. What can I do next? What can I add to my resume and all this stuff? And in that moment, that's what I was doing. I was zooming on through to try to become a WWE diva. And now I look back on it, I'm like, the first time I ever held a microphone was on Monday Night Raw in a ring with Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella on the go home show before SummerSlam. Who can say that?
That's insane.
That's insane. That's amazing. And like, what an opportunity they gave me. And now, how cool is it that 10 years later, I am where I am? I'm an inaugural champion. And that's how this journey started.
It's
So
insane.
cool.
Is there
So
anything or anyone that says anything to you that when that happened during that experience that you kept with you when you went back into the independence? Was any advice you got? Was anyone just like, hey, like keep doing what you're doing? Or
um, I remember Eva Marie being one of the sweetest humans ever.
yeah.
I remember Daniel Bryan and Nikki Bella telling me that Brie slaps harder than anyone in the entire world. I remember Stephanie McMahon being one of like just the most passionate but really sweet humans. She was very motherly. And so everything that I did, she was like, that's perfect. That's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
I love the way you did it. So all of those things stick with me, when they say it's not about what someone said, it's how they made you feel. I
Yeah.
guess this is the moment where I'm like, yeah, that totally rings true. Because I don't remember what anyone said. I just remember the people that made me feel really welcoming in a time when like they didn't have to. Like I was just an
Yeah.
extra. I was just an extra and I didn't even like know myself, let alone the wrestling business. Um and you know, that everyone being so kind to me is why I continued over and over to hound WWE for a tryout.
Yeah. How long did you have to hound them for?
Well, that was August of 2014, I believe.
Yeah.
I hounded them and I got every month, probably every 3 weeks, until I got a tryout in January of 2015. I got a tryout, then I hounded them all the way until they called me for Tough Enough in
Yeah.
June 2015. And then I hounded them all the way until they brought me back to Tough Enough in July 2015. And then I hounded them until I got a job. in 2018 or 19.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tough enough. Is it insane to you to look back at that now and think about how many of you actually made it out of there and still are here technically, or like are still in the business? Like there was you, there was Sonia, there was Mandy, there's a bunch of you that were there, and like a lot of you are still here. Like, how was that experience? Do you think it was going to
Well,
lead to a full contract? You finished in 4th, and now you're
did
the
I
women's.
though? I did terribly.
Yeah, but still, you're now the U.S. Women's champion. So
You're right. You're right. It all
finished
actually,
first. You finished first at the end.
yeah, it all evens out.
You know, like 10 years later.
Yeah, it only took me 10 years to actually like get retribution, but we're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, going into that season, I already knew these, and I'm just gonna talk about the girls because honestly,
Yeah.
boys, they bore me. I
Fair
watch
enough.
women's wrestling. I don't care about the boys. I watch women's reality TV show. I watch the women of NXT. I just like the girlies. So
Yeah.
I knew going into Tough Enough, holy cow, these girls are incredible. They looked incredible. They were incredible in the ring. They had this like je ne sais quoi about them. They were just like, they're just so much more grown up in America.
Yeah.
And so that was really like shocking to me. You know, I learned a lot on Tough Enough. I learned about lip filler and Botox and onesie outfits and sparkly dresses and platform heels, like just things that we as Canadians, we just don't have. Okay. We're just down home girls in our denim jeans. It's just different.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that experience, but I knew while I was in it, these girls are meant to be stars. So I wasn't surprised when I left and a bunch of them got called back and Mandy did Total Divas. And, you know, like, I wasn't surprised at all. They were all really, really impressive athletes.
Yeah. Well, you went through like a full diva training over there, basically.
Did I ever? But you know what? That's like what really like opened my eyes to being an adult. I feel like I was still in this like limbo of being a late teen, early adult, and I was acting like an adult in my head, but I wasn't really. And this just like, I moved away from Canada. I had no contact with anyone. I was forced into this high pressure cooker situation. And, you know, I had to grow up.
Isn't that crazy though? Like in life, like how we at one point will be like 18 years old and we think we know everything and we're grown up, and then you're like 22 and you think the same thing. Next thing you're 25 and you're like, I was a kid. Then you're 30, you're like, dude, I was a kid at 25. What was I panicking about? But it's like you're always gonna be doing that.
Keeps happening.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. Like you never know. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm still not old and I'm also not young. I don't know what I am anymore. But,
I'll be 85 years old being like, remember when I thought I was grown up at 50?
Yeah, that's basically it. And also to go back for a second, the whole idea of like just I actually had a hard talk with someone about that too, where you're doing so much and you actually don't pause and think about how cool the stuff you've already done is. So for you to even to go back and watch that Bryan segment and see how much you've grown as a person, as visually, as a performer, like it's insane that you have that confidence now that you probably didn't really have then. And it's like now you walk out there and it's like, oh, the world is mine. And that's crazy how that can happen.
You know, I always like said to people, everyone's like, how are you so confident? And I'm always like, no, I'm just faking it till I make it. And now I made it and I don't have to fake it anymore. And I feel that way. I fully feel like when I go out into the ring, like I have butterflies, but I'm not nervous. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And it just, you know, it takes time to gain that confidence.
And I think some people, you're a perfect example of it, is knowing that like if you just keep going and you keep trying, like we're gonna talk about that right now. 2018, okay, so you got signed, you were there, you did the stuff in NXT, you did the stuff with Robert Stone, you get called up to the main roster, there's plans for you, you're in this fatal 4-way Survivor Series match all lined up, and then you get hurt. Plans changed, and then eventually you were released. But you didn't stop. You kept going. What made you keep going? What makes you different that you're like, you know what? Okay, fine. I got released from WWE. I hounded them for years. I did Tough Enough. I did these extra work. I got there. I was getting an opportunity. Then I got let go. You didn't just stop. You kept going. What made you keep going? What makes Chelsea Green different?
My dad has a song that we used to sing when we hiked up the mountains. We would hike every weekend. And it's We are greens and we're not quitters. We'll climb mountains before dinners. And like, honestly, slay, Dad. I keep that song. I keep that song with me because, like, yeah, I'm a green and I don't fucking quit. I don't. I don't. Like, and guess what? I will keep hounding you until the no turns into a yes. And it has worked my whole life and it'll continue to work because I'm sorry, but if it's a no, it's only a no right now in this moment. It is not a no for life. And if you want something bad enough, you don't quit. So I am a green and I'm not a quitter and I will climb mountains before dinners.
That needs to be said on TV. That is needs
We
to be
are
passed
greens
on.
and we're not quitters. We'll win titles before dinner.
Yeah, that's insane. But like, it's crazy because like for a lot of people, and myself sometimes, I'm like, oh, I forgot you even ever got released because you came back in 2021. But then I'm like, oh wait, she did all those cool things. She did the Hammerstein with her husband. She did a bunch of hardcore stuff, which I know like now, if some people are just WWE fans, they'll see you like falling off ladders and doing crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh, you guys don't know Chelsea Green.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, you guys. You should have seen me get gored by Rhino.
Yeah, like she's been through tables and fallen off ladders for years and years and years.
Everyone's like, my gosh, you fell so perfectly, and didn't you have a fear? I'm like, no, honey, because that's not my first time doing this.
Yeah, because you got the whole diva thing going on, but this is like she's a little bit of a hardcore Barbie, guys. She's got a little bit of that hardcore diva in her. And before we get back to WWE, then I do want to talk about that brief period because I do think one of the coolest things you got to do, and actually it's probably cooler for Matt, is he got to live out his Macho Man Elizabeth dream with you.
Yep.
When you got released, how excited was he that you guys could work together on the Independence again?
Oh, so excited. I mean, look, we had never meshed business with pleasure. So this was our first time ever working together, and it wasn't easy. Like, it took us a long time to figure out our cadence and the way that we moved together in the ring and what we brought to the table that could individually work, but then be even more powerful together. It took us a long time, but I feel like by the end of it, by the time I got re-signed again, we were moving and grooving, and we loved working together and loved our shtick. And I loved that, like, I got paid to just basically go there and talk a bunch of smack and then go through a table. I thought that was it was so fun.
No, it was insane. And you guys, the outfits are great. I knew he was living his Macho Man dream. The wedding you guys got to have, the obviously, wrestling weddings. It was all just so much fun. And then that's what I mainly remember. And I was like, oh yeah, she did get released and she was on the Independence, and her and Matt were just killing it for a second there.
For like 2 years. 2 years.
It didn't feel like that, but it was, right?
I know. It's crazy.
But it just seemed like a really fun time. Hey, yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I had to re-up on my NWO shirts on 500 Level, the comfortable material if you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. They got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know, and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 Level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts that you cannot find in a WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on their website. Hit me up.
500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing.
Matt, how bad do you want to see Matt back in the WWE? Is that something you want to see down the road? Is that something you want to run back?
I want to see him. First of all, I know I have a change of scenery here. I am all of a sudden I have jumped from my car to my house. Yes, I'm a time traveler. Nothing to worry about here, people. Technical issues.
Only
traveler.
Yeah, I mean, only Chelsea Green. That's the only person that can do something. It's in the snap of her finger in a whole new room.
She's still got this here, just so you know, it's off camera, but she's here. I want to see Matt in WWE, honestly, more than anything else that I even could want out of my career. I feel guilt because, first of all, he supports me like no other. He is so happy for me. He watches everything I do. He's at shows when I'm winning championships. But at the end of the day, I go home and I know that this was his dream. You know, I joke with you about the fact that I Googled how to be a WWE diva, but he didn't. He literally came out of the womb wanting to be a WWE superstar. So, you know, I just want him so badly to come back and have that final closure, that ending that he so deserves. As I mean, he was with WWE for a very, very, very long time. And I think the fans want it too. Like, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I get a lot of people asking, you know, when's he coming back? When's he coming back? And gosh, I would love, love, love to see him back.
And I think on behalf of the fans, I can speak on behalf of the fans as one of their people, but you know, we want to see him back, and we want to see him back as Matt Cardona. He's reinvented himself. He's a whole new dude, and we want him to walk into the same way Cody got to walk in as the Cody that was on the Independence and reinvent himself, and Drew McIntyre got to walk in as the Drew Galloway that he built himself up as in the Independence, and we get to see this Matt Cardona in the WWE.
The new like cool. The evolution of that.
Yeah,
who's that human being? Who cares about the character? It's like about the human being.
No, for sure, and like. Yeah, just to see maybe you guys be able to run it back again would be super cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do out here, conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt, remember to conquer it. Do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, guys. Limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below.
I joked around with you the other day. I was like, yo, you're pretty much like the ambassador for all of Canada for WWE right now. Like, if anything's happening in Canada, they send Chelsea Green. You were here for the Great Cup Festival. You're here for Vancouver Canucks games. You're just here for, like, you came back for Taylor Swift. Like, you're here for everything.
And you know what? Taylor Swift being the most important part of all of that.
Yeah. How does it feel to know that, like, you're pretty much like the ambassador for Canada? Like, you know, we got Elimination Chamber and SmackDown coming back to Toronto. A lot more shows that are happening here anyways. We just had a PLE in Vancouver with Survivor Series. You were out here for that as well. Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means everything because at the end of the day, I am Canadian and I'm proud to be Canadian and I want to represent Canada whenever I can. And I also want to, I mean, we're all a little narcissistic. Don't we all kind of want to go back and like experience like what the life we used to have while having more than we used to have? You know what I mean? Like, so like we all kind of want, that's why we have high school reunions. Let's be serious. Yeah. So I really love it. And it's so cool to have my dream job and to be able to go back and say, I did it.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm important now. Yeah. Put me on there. Put me on the big monitor.
I matter, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to wave at this Canucks game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna wave at this Canucks game and just say hello to everybody. But no, that's awesome. I want to talk about Michin really quickly. You guys obviously have a lot of history through TNA, through the Independence, through now WWE, being able to work with her in so many big matches. The dumpster match that in its main event. I asked her about this when I interviewed her a few weeks back, but you know she had very kind things to say. But what does it mean for you to work with Michin and have all these moments with her still?
Honestly, I think what she said to you in your interview is exactly how I feel. I feel that we have so much history. We have this deep connection of everything from friendship to working together for 10 years to having really special integral moments in our careers together. And, you know, she was my first ever TV match. at
wow.
TNA. They brought me in for a tryout. They said, you're going to be on the, I believe it was like the Knockouts Knockdown pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a match with Michin, Mia Yim, or Jade. I think she was Jade at that time. Maybe
Yeah.
Jade.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 4 and 4. And this is where the hard cam is. I said, what's the hard cam and what does 4 and 4 mean? It was like all these things I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I tell you, she held my hand through that experience. And from then on, we've just like had really good chemistry. And you don't always have that with people. It's, we're all different wrestlers. We all have our own like ways that we move in the ring. But her and I just have this weird unspoken telepathy in the ring. And we have it. I mean, we had it last week when she wrestled Piper. We always have it. It's really weird.
Yeah. She says she's still coming for you. She's coming for that United States Championship.
Of course she's coming for me because at the end of the day, we're coworkers. So
yeah.
The title, but she ain't gonna get it.
The build up for the dumpster match was great too. The vignettes of you beating up a Michin face on a dummy and being around the dumpster, like all of that was fantastic.
It's so fun. And when you have someone like Michin who doesn't take herself seriously, but like also like brings this hardcore character to the ring that's so opposite than what I bring, it's fun.
So would you say that you also lean more towards the like you enjoy more of the character and storyline aspect of wrestling than not just the wrestling? Also, you enjoy wrestling, but like that being able to be a character and do a little bit more and be a little bit extra, as we like to say. Do you enjoy that more than a little bit more than just just the wrestling?
Definitely, but like everyone has their little slot that they fit into in WWE, and that's the beauty of WWE. It is a variety show. We have everything that you could possibly want in a show there. We have drama, we have heartfelt segments, we have relationships, we have ridiculous comedy, we have singing, dancing, acting, theatrics, we have stunts, you know what I mean? And if everyone was the same, then we wouldn't have that. So I maybe bring a little bit more of like stunts and comedy and acting. Mia brings like stunts and badass superhero vibes.
Yeah.
Bianca brings high flying. We've got technical mat wrestlers. We've got, like MMA amazing women. Like we have everything. So I just feel like that's the beauty of it.
Wikipedia said you're a stunt woman. Do you feel like a stunt woman? Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
In Canada. It was a short stint, but I did stunts in Canada. And then I actually just met with a stunt double in North Carolina a couple weeks ago to kind of pick his brain. But, stunts are hard on your body.
Yeah.
Really, really hard on your body. And I learned that the hard way in Calgary, doing a lot of fight scenes in the snow for Winona Earp. It was really, really tough. There were some days when I could not walk because of
That's
the stuff.
insane. Television movies, you've done some stuff. You just did this Bluegrass Christmas. There was something called Parallel Minds back in 2020.
That was so long ago.
What is that? Like, why did I look that up? I was like, oh, she's got an IMDb page. I'm gonna check it out. And I was like, Parallel Minds.
You know what? We will focus on what I've done since taking acting classes.
Okay.
Which is Bluegrass Christmas. And I just was in an episode of season 2 of Blue Ridge, which is really cool, really, really cool show set in North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So that's exciting. That hasn't come out yet, but I'm excited for that because I really did get to test my acting chops with a little crying scene.
Okay. You have to. What did you think about to give yourself tears? Do you use that technique, or were you just like, I can cry?
It was a bit of both. Like in class, I try to like really get myself in the mindset of like thinking about like kind of terrible things. But I've never cried in class, so this was my first time of it actually working. Okay. So let's hope it's not first time, last time.
Where do you see yourself going in terms of acting? Is it something you want to do a lot more of moving forward when the opportunity comes up? Or is it something that you like, just another one of these Chelsea Green hobbies that we picked up along the way?
You know what? I think it's going to stick. I really, really love acting. And that's why I've fallen into this like comfortability with WWE. I love character work and I love dissecting a character and trying to figure out the whys, why they do things, why they move, why they act this way.
So I think that acting will definitely be my next step. I think it'll intertwine with WWE. I hope it intertwines. I want to stay with WWE as long as I can. But you know, who knows what's going to happen? Right now, I'm pushing for Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, that'd be
Look,
cool.
I'm trying to be the female Miz. Miz did Dancing with the Stars. I got to try to do it.
How do you like that comparison? Because people have said that before. They'd be like, hey, you know,
I
Chelsea
said
Green,
it
kind of
first,
like.
Justin.
Oh, you said it first.
I said it first. Nobody picked up on it. I said it first, and then everyone compliments me and says that as if I didn't say it. I think it's the greatest form of compliment because he has the greatest life.
No, he does. And he does everything. He is everywhere. And he gets all these opportunities. And
he does
he's been with the company forever. And he's always got a spot there. And there's always a role for him. Even 10 years from now, if they want to say, hey, Miz, you want to retire, we're going to put you on commentary. Like, he can do it. He's versatile like that. And it's good to be a person. You know, when they always say, like, learn as many tools as you can, because the more tools you have, the more opportunities you have in the future. I think that's something you've done.
Yeah, he's a jack of all trades, and I want to be a Jill of all trades.
Well, there you go. And then isn't that the best when you come up with a nickname or you say something about yourself and it catches on, and then you hear it back and you're like,
no, love that. When Booker T said I'm like Miz, I was like, thank you. I thought it was going to take much longer for me to be compared to him.
When someone first called me the Wrestling Classic, I'm like, that's weird. And then someone was like, hey, that's like a really cool nickname. I'm like, well, I guess it is. I just made it up one day for fun. Like,
and it's kind of this moment of like, oh my god, I actually made it.
Yeah. I asked him about you, so I have to ask you about him. Do you ever see down the road reconnecting with Robert Stone? We've seen you guys cross paths on NXT every once in a while. Couple little reminiscing moments between the two of you since you've been back, but nothing firm, nothing together again. Would we ever see Chelsea Green return to the Robert Stone brand?
I would love to be paired with Rob. I think we have the same mentality. We work hard. We are always thinking about character stuff. Like even now, he literally just texted me last week about character stuff for me. And I love that. Like our minds don't shut off in that way. And so I would love to go back and run it back a little with Robert Stone, bring him to the main roster. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think people forget how talented he was in the ring as well. And I say was, but he is so talented in the ring. And we are seeing that, and we get glimmers of this, but it's not the same. Like we need him back on the main roster, killing it.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's great. And he said the same thing. Like, he'd love to run it back with you as well if the opportunity ever came up and you guys.
Yeah, we had a really good time together.
Yeah, and it was fun. The vignettes are fun. The stuff you guys were doing was fun. And then obviously it got stopped really quickly. But like, I like the fact that you guys still acknowledge it every time you do go back down to NXT. You try you guys' best to maybe cross paths somehow, some way. How do you like going down to NXT? Like, you know, you had a brief history there, but then every now and then we get to see you pop back in there with Piper or yourself. You got to do the fun stuff with Ariana Grace, which was a really cool thing to see for a second there. How do you like your time in NXT?
I love it. And every time I leave, I text Shawn Michaels and I text their head writer, Johnny Russo, and I say, call me whenever. I don't care if I have 10 minutes to get ready. I will be there. At this point, you know, I'm getting some of my best matches and my longest minutes in the ring in NXT against Julia, against Roxanne, in the tag match at Halloween Havoc. And, you know, that to my core, I am a wrestler. You know, that's how I started doing those 20-minute indie matches. So it's nice when I get to kind of flex that a little bit and like get my wrestling brain turned on. So I just really love it. It's just totally different than the main roster, and they both have their goods, but like going down to NXT and being with new talent and feeling the excitement and the crowd, it's just different, and I love it.
No, for sure. I want to see you run it back with Ariana Grace too. You guys are funny together.
Oh my gosh, I feel like she's my little sis. I love her.
Yeah, and it's cool. And you're right. Like, you know, when you get to go down to NXT, you get to do a little bit more. You get to wrestle a little bit longer, and all those girls are learning, and they get to learn from you. And I think to your point, like, yes, you're super entertaining, you're super funny. You got this character stuff. Is so like this Chelsea confessionals are hilarious on social media. You do all this stuff. But like we mentioned earlier, people don't like if people just watch WWE, they don't know like Chelsea wrestles, Chelsea takes crazy bumps, Chelsea does crazy stuff. and she's more versatile than many people know. It's not just, you know, like that's
Yeah,
not always just what you see.
It's not just all laughs.
Yeah.
You know, there is more to it. There is 10 years have not just been all comedy.
Yeah, and that's what it's like when you were gonna win, and when everyone was like, you know, and that must have been a cool feeling when you saw the support online, and everyone was like, no, we want Chelsea to win the United States title. We want her to be the first champion, because then that's when you realize, like, no, people do know. Like, yes, she's hilarious, but it's like we know she can go. She deserves this. She deserves it. Like, what did that mean to you? That everybody like you had that social media support.
Well, you know, and I shouldn't have because I'm a heel, but it felt really good. I have to admit, it felt really, really good to be recognized. And not everybody can say that in their career they are recognized. You know, we all think we bring something special to the table, but to have that reciprocated and seen and heard, it just like it was very special. And I really cannot explain to you how much I felt that in Long Island at Saturday Night Main Event when they were chanting my name for hours.
Yeah.
Like throughout the whole show. It was really just like a moment I will never forget, and I don't want to forget.
No, and I don't think you ever will. And I think it was a super cool moment. But I think people are, like, as much as I say like maybe they don't see it, I think a lot of people do see it as well. That like no,
I know we go back and forth.
Package.
We're totally being like contradictory.
Yeah.
Podcast, but I know what you mean because like yes I'm recognized, but I still think that there's so many people on the internet that haven't seen the journey that I've been on.
Well, I'm hoping people will listen to this or watch this, and then they'll go on YouTube and they will type in Chelsea Green and they'll check out some of this other stuff and be like, oh, look at this 20-minute match on the Independence where she went through a table. Look at this, you know, look at this and that, because like there's a lot out there. TNA, right? WWE has this relationship with TNA, NXT and TNA. You have such a history there too. Would you want to like pop up there at all? Would you think that would be a cool little moment if you were able to?
I already had texted Tommy Dreamer when Jordan Grace first surprised me at the Royal Rumble, and that biatch didn't tell me she was going to be in it. And the night before, I texted Tommy. I said, "Okay, bet there's a partnership. Bring me in. Bring me and P in to go for the Knockouts tag team titles."
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get to see that.
Tommy Dreamer, if you're listening, I'm waiting.
You will have, and you would be going back in there, walking in as Chelsea Green, the same way Matt Cardona would have to walk in as Matt Cardona. That's the way it'd have to be. Let me ask you about that actually really quickly, because this is just the old wrestling trope. I don't think it really, you know, you find your pack and you find your pack, but they always say you either make friends or you make money in professional wrestling, and you've made a lot of friends and money. So what happened there?
There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
There is, because at the end of the day, I know you guys think I'm at the top.
Yeah.
But like we know who's at the tippy top, and a lot of them are lonely. And I'm not lonely. And guess what? I would rather not be at the top and have good friends and a good circle surrounding me and have my head on straight than the latter.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky that I have so many amazing supportive friends that work for every other company, and we've never let wrestling get in the way. Not that it would, but sometimes it does. We've never let it get in the way, and I'm very grateful for that. You know, my best friends don't work for WWE. How crazy is that?
But that also speaks volumes on, and I don't think it's been talked about a lot yet. Give it like maybe 5 or 10 years, but people will talk about it the same way they talk about like early 2000 independence scene, or like the middle of the independence in the 2000s with the Young Bucks and the Elite and all that stuff. Like you girls, there's a block of girls there that when you were on the independents that are all killing it right now in different companies,
right?
That are friends. And it's like, oh wait, like they all came up together, they all went to Stardom at the same time, they were all over here, and that's like, oh, that's crazy. Like I even earlier when you talked about like Piper being there, I'm like, I didn't even think about her being a part of that too.
Piper,
she was.
Dakota, and Alba, we were all at Stardom together. Like
most people might not know that. And it's like there's a class of women that came up on there was the women's revolution, but there was this underground rumbling that was going on with all you girls that were coming
on
up
the indies.
Indies. And it's like it's a top class of women. Like
no, totally. I agree. I think like that's and Candice, I think that's what makes this generation of the women's roster so special. And also not only that, but then we have these really, really amazing homegrown talents from NXT. Tiffany.
Yeah.
Who are incredible and totally could have been on the indies with us and totally could have gone hard in that little decade of time as well too. So it's really special what we have right now in the roster. I feel like we have like genuinely a bit of everything.
No, you really do. But I just think it's cool. Like, people talk about the CM Punk, Homicide, Samoa Joe era and this and that. And it's like, well, look at this era. This is
honey,
insane.
it's Dakota, Piper, Chelsea, Deanna, Britt,
Tony, the list goes on.
Era. I know. Candice, I could literally go on and on and on. It's incredible. It's really cool. And I mean, just to be able to work with all these girls who I was already friends with.
Yeah, insane. Total Divas, I know you're a big fan. I've asked this to Maxine, I've asked this to others, but what would be your dream Total Divas cast right now?
Me, Maxine, Tiffy, Natty.
OG.
Yeah, right? And maybe also Liv and Sonia and Naya, because they also are kind of OGs.
Yeah, they came on there for a season or few.
I mean, how many am I allowed to say? Because I would go with Kalani. I'd love Kalani.
Yeah.
Kalani
that'd be funny. Yeah. You get a little bit of the Carmelo. The best thing about Total Divas sometimes was like when the people were in relationships, you got the guys. And like, I don't think I was a big like TJ fan, but TJ and Total Divas was way funnier than TJ that we got to see on TV. Like, you know what I mean?
You really get to see an inside glimpse of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
You don't always get
I'm like, it's called Total Divas, but then you get to see the boyfriends and the husbands, and they were hilarious, like.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that'd be cool. Do you still want to bring back the Divas title if you ever get the opportunity?
Yep.
All right.
100%.
We'll see this happen. Cardi B match. You mentioned you want to wrestle Cardi B.
Okay, so I want to wrestle Cardi B, but now that I keep seeing Miss Vanessa Hudgens, I think I might also swerve. I'm going to give myself a match with Vanessa Hudgens and a match with Cardi B. Those are my dream celeb matches right now.
I feel like this Vanessa Hudgens ones can happen. I feel like there's something there. Are you a High School Musical fan? Did you grow up watching High School Musical?
Of course I did. Are you crazy? Of course I did.
What's your favorite? If you had to rank the High School Musical movies, how would you rank them?
Oh, I mean, 1.
Yeah.
Number 1 is 1.
Yeah. Like, that's the only one I personally remember, to be honest.
Well, that's just the one that like sticks with me. All the songs, the dances, everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll just always revert back to 1.
Yeah. That's the one. Music. We're going to talk about music because I've noticed you're a big music fan. Obviously, you've been, since we talked, there's Nickelback, there's Sabrina Carpenter, there's Taylor Swift, there's all the stuff we've touched on briefly. What is on your playlist now? Like, what's the number one song to get you pumped up and excited to go do anything?
That's tough because my playlist is a mix of absolutely everything. Like,
I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm the same way, and different languages. I'm all over the place.
Oh my God, a good Bollywood song. Don't get me started. That Juggle.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's a little bit of everything, but my one song that I listen to when I get in my car going to the gym is Get Over It by the Eagles.
Okay. What's a song that makes you really emotional? What's the last time a song made you cry?
It is Mel C and Bryan Adams, Baby When You're Gone.
Top 5 pop stars right now.
T Swift.
Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter. Charlie XCX.
Okay.
I mean, Beyonce will always be one, but like, I'm not a Beehive girl, but then I wasn't a Swiftie either till I went to the Taylor Swift concert. And probably Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay, fair enough. I like Machine Gun too. I like Taylor Swift because I was trying to explain this to people. I'm like, she was putting out music when I was in high school. Yeah. And I'm like, I was with it, like Love Story and like, like You Belong With Me. And I'm like, I don't know a lot of her new stuff, to be fair. I'm like, I went to the Red concert when that album dropped with a girl, had a blast. I liked that album. 1989 was great, but I had that CD. But I'm like, I think the crazy part is the longevity and the fact that, she's always grown and she's always changed. And she's, there's a reason why it was called the Eras Tour. Those different eras of Taylor Swift. And there was girls my age, there was girls my age, and I have kids that were taking their daughters. Like, it was like a whole, I'm like, that's the thing about her. I'm like, she's crossed multiple generations.
She's incredible.
Do you think you could bring that to wrestling?
No. No. I think Trish has.
Okay, yeah.
I think Trish has done it, but
Yeah.
I don't think I started early enough to really be able to have. I know I've had a long career, but to have a career that long in the limelight, starting early, you have to start early, you know. And
Yeah.
I just didn't. I started later for a wrestler, and I'm proud of that for its own reasons.
Fair enough. How many pets do you have?
Oh, do you see all of them?
I saw a cat. And I
on
see your dogs on social media all the time, so I'm just curious now.
I've got 3 dogs and 3 cats. I only see 2 dogs right now and 1 cat though. So who knows where little Miss Paisley is? She's wandering around.
Do they get along, the dogs and the cats?
Yeah,
Oh,
everyone
that's
gets along.
cool. That's
We're a
great.
very chill household.
What do you miss about Canada?
Besides the Hawkins cheesies, probably just my friends and family and the ocean.
Yeah, I think I've gotten very used to living next to the ocean. I totally understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
We are. I had a friend that came from Toronto, and I've been to Toronto and stuff, and he's never been. He came here for the first time. He did extra work at a Survivor Series and stuff, and he was just like, "Hey, like, you guys got a lot of mountains and nature and stuff." And I'm like,
Right?
"Oh, like, I think I take that for granted because I'm like born and
We
raised
do.
here, but
We
now
do.
every time I'm driving around, I'm like, it's like outside of like the 4 months that are really cold and ugly here, I'm like, it is still really nice." But like,
We're so lucky.
yeah. Last couple of questions and we'll wrap this up. And I appreciate your time. This has been long overdue. First things first. And then we kind of talked about it. We touched. Oh, actually, 3 questions because I almost forgot this one. Your attires. How do you come up with your attires? As a fan, as a kid, I always liked it when people would switch up their attires, the colors, different looks. Shawn Michaels, different heartbroken pants every time. Like I always thought that's a cool thing than someone just wearing the same thing for a very long time.
Right.
You women in the locker room these days have been great at it. So many different attires all the time. How do you come up with the ideas, and which have been some of your favorites so far?
My favorites are definitely my Saturday Night Main Event gear, my Canucks gear, and my Canada gear for Money in the Bank. I'm excited to figure out what I'm going to wear for Elimination Chamber on March 1st. I can't wait for that. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to come up with something really fun and special. But I liked the thought of keeping the one sleeve, like the style the same. My style kind of does always change, but it's always one sleeve. And then from there, it's like, whatever. Someone suggests something to me, I do it. Someone throws me a design, I do it. Someone says, oh, you should put these colors together, I do it. I have I just try things. I've got seriously hundreds of gear upstairs. I've got about 30 sets that aren't touched that are waiting for TV. I just love trying new things. It's always fun. It's playing dress up.
No, for sure. And you have your look, your distinctive look with the hat and everything, but the gear is always different. And I think it's cool. And the Saturday Main Event one was funny. Like I don't think anyone expected that to be the one that it was a little homage to Matt, and then it was also just like your own thing. And it was like she came in here giving narcissist, get on the belt. Look at me. Anywhere you look, you're gonna see me. I'm all over here.
It was so good.
Yeah, and I love the Canucks gear, obviously, for personal reasons growing up in Vancouver. And then I was at Money in the Bank, and the Canada gear was cool, too. 2 things. First things first, how do you want, as of right now, obviously there's a lot more ahead of you to go, but as of right now, how would you want people to remember Chelsea Green in the wrestling world?
I want them to remember me as the one that entertained them. And I don't care what that looks like. I don't care if that means I was the most obnoxious, I was the funniest, I made a fool of myself, I went through tables, whatever it is. I just want them to be entertained. What I don't want is for them to think about the fact that I was a winner or a loser, because I just don't care.
Yeah. I think that's a thing that is an art in wrestling, that even if you lose, but you can still be over. That's something that is the best spot you can be in. That no matter win or loss, people are still like, but that's my favorite wrestler, and I want to see them wrestle. And when they do win, it's like, oh, let's go. It's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I always like to finish off with this question and think about it for a second, because it's easy to answer. But then just to think about it for a second, go all the way back and say, if you could talk to 10-year-old Chelsea Green, do you feel like you made your younger self proud?
Yes, but not in the way that I thought at all. And growing up, when I was young, I wanted to be a ballerina. arena. And then that kind of transpired to, okay, just overall showbiz. And then it was journalism and things like that. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I was always meant to be on a stage, whatever stage that was, whether it was a literal stage, doing a recital, doing a performance, or a wrestling ring stage, or TV. I have definitely made younger Chelsea proud. However, older Chelsea would say that there's so much more to do. So I'm really excited. I hope that we have the same conversation, every year for the next 10, 20 years. And in 20 years, we're like, can you believe that we thought I made it in 2025?
Yeah. Or to go back to that, remember when you thought you had it all figured out, like at 25 and now like at 30 or whatever? It's like it's true. That's the way it is.
Hopefully in 10 years when I'm 44 years old, we'll talk again, and hopefully all my new dreams will have come true.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. And you're going to be in more movies, winning more titles. We're going to bring the Divas title back. Maybe Total Divas will be back. Podcasts will be on Netflix. We have all these plans, okay? We're manifesting them all, and they're going to happen, because if I've learned anything from following your career is somehow, some way, Chelsea Green makes it happen.
Thank you. I love that. That's, you know what? That's how I want to be remembered.
Yeah. Because it literally, from like any time of your career, like I said, I've seen you wrestle in California when I was out there. I've seen you wrestle here, and you always end up back in WWE. You're always doing exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it. And it's like, oh, so when you said I remember briefly when we were trying to schedule this, you're like, hey, maybe we should wait till after the title match if I win the title. And I was like, oh, when you get the title, you're like, oh no, if I win, I don't know yet. And I'm like, no, you're gonna win the title. And you're gonna bring it on the show.
You were manifesting for me.
It's gonna happen. I already know.
What? This is my first interview since winning the title. You're the inaugural champion.
Let's go. 2 Canadians with the Women's United States Championship.
That's right.
Yeah, we showed them. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We'll definitely do this down the road again. Maybe we'll do something in person sometime soon. And I appreciate it.
Justin, and I will see you February 28th and March 1st. Maybe not you, but you at Elimination Chamber and SmackDown at the Scotiabank and Rogers.
Yeah, and that's actually super dope, guys. So for the hardcore wrestling fans that don't realize it, the Rogers Center is the old Sky Dome. So like, if you were like one of those people that grew up watching those WrestleManias in the Sky Dome, and like, I wish I went to a wrestling event there, it's the same venue, different name.
And tickets go on sale January 10th, so you better hop on those tickets on Ticketmaster.com or .ca maybe.
Yeah, I think it's .com or .ca, whatever. Ticketmaster. Buy tickets for Elimination Chamber and SmackDown. It's gonna be a blast, guys. I was there for Money in the Bank. I've gone there for a ton of events in Toronto. It's always a fun city to be in. And you guys shall be there for Elimination Chamber. And hopefully, if you guys go, they keep coming back to Canada. They'll come to Vancouver. They'll come to Calgary. They'll come to Edmonton. They'll come to Toronto. They'll come to Saskatoon. I don't know. They will come. Halifax. I don't know. Prince Edward Island. None of it. They will come. Yeah.
Yellowknife.
Yeah, we'll be in Yellowknife. Who knows? I remember they used to come to Vancouver and do shows in Abbotsford, and I was so confused why. But hey, they'll come. They will come if you show up.
Rosebud.
Yeah. A rosebud. That's crazy. There's more extra stories for another time, another day, guys. Keep doing the thing. Check out Chelsea Green, the first ever, the funniest, the smartest, the kindest, the prettiest, the tannest, the tallest. I don't know, everything. She's everything.
The youngest, the oldest, the tallest, the shortest.
The longest, everything.
The longest reigning, first ever WWE United States Women's Champion.
Yeah, the longest reigning ever, guys. Can't take that away. Not yet.
You, Justin.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
When did you guys start dating?
We started dating in 2017.
2017. I just have this might not even make the video. I just have a very fond memory of being with a bunch of guys. I think you knew Mitch. He used to wrestle here in Vancouver.
Yep.
In New Orleans. I was hanging out with them the whole time. And we came to say what's up. And I don't think Matt knew who we were. And you were just like really excited to see Mitch. Like, oh my god, hey! And then he just seemed he was a little drunk, so he was just like, what the fuck's going on here?
And that was at the very beginning.
And then like I was like, hey, can I grab a picture? And I have the funniest picture with him. We've talked about it. He's like obviously the man, but we had the funniest picture where he's just like,
oh yeah. Checks out.
And I always thought with him, I'm like, oh, I'm like, and then Mitch guys were like, oh, he probably didn't know who the hell we were and why she knew us or something. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, now he knows that I am the Beyonce of Canada. I like to befriend everyone. I know everyone and everyone knows me. That's it. He's like, I don't want to go back to Canada. It feels like you know everyone. It's annoying.
Yeah.